Hi guys, Atari Creep here. Today I wanted to go over a topic that's nothing new. I'm not going to be breaking any new ground here, but I figure maybe I have a different perspective than some people do on this. And obviously what I'm talking about are plug-and plays and the convenience of them. You know, some people for them, some people are against them, some people have a few, they don't care. You know, some have more than I do, some have a lot less than I do. But I figure what the hell, I'll pull these out and give you my personal perspective of them, my opinion, whatever that's worth, and, you know, just go over some benefits that I feel that some people just seem to leave out. If you're like me, your systems aren't in a centralized area connected to a TV, going into a box, so you just hit a button and, you know, your PlayStation comes up, or your Super Nintendo. Mine are on shelves, and all the cords are wrapped up behind them. And every now and again, you get home from work, and you just want to play a friggin' game. And you got to pull out the system, you unravel the cords, plug it in. And if there's already a system plugged in, you got to pull that out and put it on the shelf. And I just don't like having cords in little plastic boxes all over the place. I like to have my stuff neat and in order. And just sometimes that's just a bother. I know it sounds bad, but these plug-and plays, I mean, they're great. You just pull them out, as long as they got batteries in them. Plug them in, you play for a little while. They have other benefits that I'll go over. But let me show you my little collection. I got about 11 or so. You know, it's a little less than most and, you know, a little more than others. And, you know, we'll just dig right in and we'll see where this goes. I mean, it's an interesting topic to me, at least. And I hope it is to you, too. So let me pull them down and we'll get started. All right, guys, here we are. We're looking at my humble little collection. I believe there's like 11 or so. I haven't really counted. They're not in any particular order. But you know what? They're great. I really don't really know much of what to say about them. Other than, let's discuss their value, first of all. Not worth, but value. You figure when they came out, they were between $15 and $20. And most of them have multiple games on them. But if you go to any Goodwill, you can buy these anywhere from $2 to $5. Like this one here, I believe I still have the sticker on it. This one was only $2, and there's like 4 or 5 decent little games on there. And they all have a little charm of their own. They all have their own like little quirky things about them. Some of them emulate games, and some of them have their own, you know, proprietary kind of deal. You know, their own little game that you can't get for a system or whatever. But let's go over each one individually. If you excuse me, I'm going to sit down real quick. Let's see. We'll start with this one first. This is a Pac-Man one. I'm sure you guys all know this one. 4-way joystick, you know, and that's perfect for Pac-Man if you can lock it down. But this has Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man, Super Pac-Man, and Pac-Man Jr., and this is a great little unit. I love it to death. This is one of my favorites. I use this one all the time, as you can tell, and I don't think I spent $3 for it. 4 games in it. This is one of my Intellivision ones. I should say the only one I have. There's another one out there, and I don't know if it has the same games or not. Now, I've seen it for $2 or $3, and I just can't get myself to buy it just to have it in the collection. I don't know why. But this is basically just a handful of Intellivision games. I believe like 15 or so. They're not that great. You know, I mean, if you want to relive the old days of Intellivision, then, you know, that's for you. Let's see, what else we got? We got a couple of Spider-Man ones. This one here, the Venom one, doesn't work. The ROM is still there, but, you know, we'll get to that in a second. But this one works pretty well. It's got a couple of decent games. They play well. You know, the joysticks are... You know, this one has, like, little switches in it. You can hear it. The joystick on this one's kind of cool, too. Now, we get this Mortal Kombat one. And this is, again, this is going to be another... Much like the Pac-Man we'll get to in a second. The reason I bought this, and it doesn't play very well on this. I mean, if you just want to play Mortal Kombat on the fly, then it's good enough. And it's set up somewhat like the arcade with the buttons. But, unfortunately, this one, the connection somewhere in here is loose, so you have to hold it very specific to play it now. And, again, it's not, the controls are not very good, so it's not like it's worth really playing with that much. Here's an Atari one. Of course, I'm the Atari Creep, so I gotta have that. And I have the one with the paddle somewhere around here. I just don't know where it is. But, you know, this one has one of my favorite Atari games of all time, Yah's Revenge. The emulation's really good, the sound's horrible, and that's one of the problems you have with these things. But that's definitely one that you need to pick up if you don't have it. This one's another really cool one. My girlfriend's daughter gave this one to me. It's basically a little mini Namco museum. It's got 4 games. Again, this is one of the more common ones, so I'm sure you already know about it. Pac-Man, Rally Racer, Bosconia, and is it Galaga or Galaxian? I think it's Galaga. But this one has another purpose as well as, you know, the Mortal Kombat and the Pac-Man ones. This guy here is one of my more recent ones. I could have picked this one up a long time ago, but kept choosing not to and keep saying, damn it, I should have done that. But this one's pretty cool. It's got a couple of different games. It's got a vehicle game and a couple of platforming style games where you run around, try to collect things and try to find your way out in a certain amount of time. But each one of those games is technically one game that you can play individually or as a whole game from beginning to end. And it's pretty neat. And another really cool thing about it is when you fire it up, this sucker here lights up green. I do it right now, but you won't be able to see it too well. Just take my word for it. This one here doesn't work at all, but I got it for 99 cents. The video on this one's horrible, but it looks cool on the shelf. It's Monster Garage, it's a TV show. And what's neat about this one and the one behind is it's got motion control. So you do this, and in theory, what's on the screen will mock that motion. This one works very well, this Star Wars one. This is pretty cool. It's got buttons all over the place. And you can go forward and back to go up and down and left and right. And, of course, you fire. And this one, I like this one a lot. It's got a lot of shooter games. Very reminiscent of, you know, like your 2D shooters from back in the day, Truxton. You know, a few others I can't think of. But this one here is kind of goofy. And they have a Vader one as well that I just keep not getting because they're always in bad shape. But, again, a couple bucks. This has 4 or 5 games in it. It's got a few shooter games. It's got a Jedi game. I think it has a platform. I haven't played it that much, but, you know, the control's pretty cool. You get your little analog stick here and a couple of buttons. But what's really neat about some of these other ones is they got this little port here. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you can expand the games with just putting a cartridge in there. And I don't think it just has to be the Star Wars one. I guess whatever one that Jack Pacific, they're a company that made most of these, put out. And, you know, there's a few other games here that say you can expand it that way, and I just haven't been able to figure out how. But regardless, you know. But let's, again, talk about value. You got like 5 or 6 games there, 4 or 5 games there. I don't know how many on that one. Let's see, 4, 5. I couldn't tell you on those ones because I don't use them that much. Plus, the Venom one didn't work. It lights up, but it just won't show a picture on the screen. So that's 5 or 6 games. 1 game, who knows how many, but they're horrible. And 4 games, I mean, and I don't think I spent more than $5 for any of them. So, I mean, just that alone right there, especially if you're into the classics. I mean, come on, it's Pac-Man, dude. I don't care what version of Pac-Man you're playing. Not to mention, I mean, the ball top's pretty badass. Look at that. Wow, 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 wow. So, I mean, what do you do with these things? I mean, this one was free. Doesn't have a bottom, but that's okay. So what can you do with these? Okay, you can display them. They look cool. I mean, come on. That Mortal Kombat one looks badass. They all have their own charm. They look great. But what can you do with them besides just play? I mean, some of the emulation isn't great. Sometimes these things, you know, get a little quirky and, you know, you can't hold on to them too well. Well, let's take this one out of here. And I'll just keep adding a few more. That one right there. And that one right there. And, yeah, that's pretty much it. What I'm planning on doing with these ones, especially with this one, if I can get one that looks better, is I'm going to gut them open. And I'm going to use the boards inside of them to make little miniature arcades. A couple of guys have already done it. I see this one done more than not. I've seen the Mortal Kombat one done once. But imagine a little bar top arcade with like a, I don't know, 19-inch screen with the actual arcade buttons and you know, the cherry buttons and the joystick, man. I mean, that would be far out. So that's what my plan is with a couple of these. But whenever I see one at Goodwill for under $5 or any other thrift store, I mean, some of them try to gouge you for $15. And I wouldn't go that route. If you see these, don't pay more than $6 or $7 for them. I wouldn't even pay that much. But yeah, I plan on making arcades out of these, and hopefully I'll be able to show you the process. I'll do one, see how it comes out, and then show you with the other one. So if that's something that you're into, by all means, you can hopefully take some of my cues and expand upon it. But Again, on the fly, whenever you're just in the mood for a game, plug them in. They're simple. You play them for a while, you get done, you wrap up the cord, you put it back on the shelf or whatever you have. The only advice I have for you, and we'll just use this one as an example because I don't have a bottom for it, is don't keep the batteries in it. I know it's a pain in the butt to unscrew it. I have one set of batteries that I swap between all of these. And they've lasted for over a year. Because I don't play these too often, but I do. When I pull them out, I play the hell out of them. But if you leave the batteries in there, they're eventually going to drain, and then they're going to get corroded and gross. And that's another problem that you have with a lot of these when you get to Goodwill or whatever. You open them up and they're gross. And sometimes, like I said, it doesn't work. If you're lucky enough to have a TV to test them on, then awesome. But for most cases, you can't. And in most cases, they won't even have batteries in them. I got lucky, and most of them did. So I knew they worked, at least they fired up. And if they fire up and you're pretty handy with a soldering iron, $3-4, 5 or 6 games each, average, I think it's well worth it. I really do, guys. So it's my little humble collection of plug-and-plays. Of course, as you all know, there are thousands of them out there. They're almost as bad as Pong units. There's no way in hell you're going to have a complete collection of every single one made. But there's ones made pretty much. It's almost like porn. If it exists, there's, porn about it. Same with these plug-and-plays. I mean, if there was a video game out there back in the 80s, there's a plug-and-play for it. I saw a Frogger one I never picked up because it looked like crap. But I'm on the hunt for that one. There's one for every kind of Pac-Man game, any arcade game you can think of. Any cartoon you can think of has one. I've seen grips of SpongeBob ones. Little Mermaid, Disney ones, Of course, there's a ton of Star Wars ones out there, which I'm trying to get my hands on. And that leads me to basically one more kind of, I don't know if it's a piece of advice or whatever. But when you get these things, I mean, they're plentiful, so be picky. You go into a Goodwill or a Savers or whatever you have in your area for thrift stores, make sure they look nice and all the controls work. The buttons function properly, the little joysticks and everything do. Again, because if you pass on one, and a couple of weeks later, you're going to find another one, and probably for about the same price. These were originally purchased mainly for children, and children just tend not to take care of this stuff because they don't know the value of things. They're little kids, and that's what little kids do, and that's okay, but be picky about picking them up. And, again, you pick it up, fire it up, and if there's a red light in there, chances are it's going to work, and I've been pretty lucky with the exception of that one Monster Garage one. And it has a picture, it's all distorted and gross, but it still works, so I bet you I can get in there and get it working. Make arcades out of them, display them, do whatever you want. I mean, they're great. There's thousands of them out there. There's one that came out, I believe, a year or two ago. It's a Pac-Man one, yeah. Go figure, another Pac-Man one. But this one comes in a real nice case. It was actually commissioned by Namco themselves, I believe. And, it looks like Pac-Man, and it has all different versions of it. And it's true emulation straight from the arcade, supposedly. So all the sound and all the visuals are going to be perfect, supposedly. I've yet to play one, but I can't wait to get my hands on one. The big allure with that one is once you get to the 260-something, whatever it is, screen, half of it glitches out, and that's the end of the game. And they have that there. So if you choose to want to experience that, you play one round and bam, you're already there. So technically, you beat the game in one level. But I love these plug-and-plays. They're neat. They're goofy to have up on the shelf, and they're very convenient. And if you're handy with things and you like projects and you like hacking, I mean, what else could you ask for? Classic arcade games you put into a box, add some real controls to it, which are, by the way, not that expensive. They're like $1.50 for the joysticks, $1.10 or so for the buttons. So, I mean, you can't go wrong making little arcades. The only problem you're going to have is having room to store them all in. But that's my collection, and that's my little perspective of it. So I will stop babbling and take this opportunity to thank you for getting all the way to the end of this, and hopefully when it uploads it's not as goofy as the other ones. And if you haven't done so, please subscribe, give me a thumbs up, let me know what you think, make comments. Let me know what ones you have in your collection, what ones you love, which ones you hate. Send me a video. I'd love to see what you got. I'd love to see what you do with yours. If you're doing crafty things with them. If not, just displaying them. Let me see what you got. But there are tons of them out there, really. I would also put the Atari flashbacks in this category. There are a ton of Sega ones that came out this year, and there's one in particular I want to get to turn into an arcade. It's already kind of an arcade fight stick with 28 or so games. Plus, it's got a an SD slot where you can put more games on, and your bin files, and pop it in there and expand your Genesis collection. I don't know if other bin files will work. I'm pretty sure they will, but I plan on making an actual upright arcade starting out of that before I get into my MAME. But that's basically it, guys. I mean, hope you enjoyed this video. Hope it gave you a little bit of insight if you were thinking about buying these. I hope I convinced you. It's well worth it if you get them for the right price. And, again, be picky. Look at them. Play with them for a few minutes. Turn them on. See if the light comes on. If your local store has like a little TV you can plug them into, try it out. No big deal. There are a lot of off-brand ones that have like a couple hundred games. They're all cheats of other games. But, if you're one of them hoarding types that like to just buy things that are video game related just to have it. But that's basically it, guys. And I thank you so much for getting to the end of this video. I know the production isn't the greatest. I'm using a cell phone, and I'm also going to edit it on the cell phone and then upload it on the cell phone. But pretty soon I got some big things coming. I got a contest or a giveaway coming up. So be sure to check me out quite often. I also have a Facebook page. Just search for the Atari Creep. You can't miss it. And I hope to see you guys all there. And again, comment. Let me know what you think about this. Let me know what you got. And send me a video if you can. So until then, guys, until the next video, bye-bye.